everyone, welcome back to the MLS Now podcast. I'm your host, Russell. You can find me and the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. We are on Instagram, we're on Blue Sky. I think we're on Blue Sky, actually. Maybe we're not, who knows? But we're on Twitter, X, we're on TikTok. We're almost everywhere that you could imagine. And if we're not, contact us on one of our other places, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be coming to a social media space near you soon. But enough about that. We have a lot to talk about with many, many, many people, none of whom can be bothered to show up as far as I can tell, other than our most loyal, most faithful, most reliable co-host on the podcast. We have Beau, who you can find on Blue Sky at MLS Gamut. Beau, hello. Happy Monday. Are you ready to talk about, let me count here, 37 matches of soccer?
You know, Russell, I'm not going to lie. Probably tell my face you're watching. I'm very, very tired today. But you know what, listeners? I showed up for you. You showed up for the podcast, so I showed up for you. Anything for you guys. You know, tired, worn down, just like every other Major League Soccer team in the month of May. But you know what? Hey, guys, guess what? We all made it. We made it through May and all 768 matches or whatever, just so we can have some stupid Leagues Cup thing. But
yeah, it's an enormous amount of soccer in the month of May.
I've had multiple players from multiple teams: Dallas, Philly, Houston. What was the other? Anyway, all tell me they are just straight up gassed. They're like, "This is just—it's too much soccer." It really is, and it's just—and for what? For Leagues Cup, and now we get 2 weeks off so we can watch the Club World Cup. Like, dude, it's just huzzah! Even though they're not even. Did you see the Seattle the warm up shirts that they did? You didn't see that? The FIFA Club World Cash Grab or something along those lines. So basically, MLS is like holding on to some antiquated rule that's giving the players like less than 10% of the earnings. So teams are guaranteed $9.5 to $10 million just for playing, and so the players are being allocated less than 10% of that, and they're MLS is quoting some really old CBA rule. The MLSPA talks about how MLS is constantly asking the MLSPA to hey, can we ignore the CBA on this one? But they want to cling to it like it's gospel on this. So the Seattle players wore a Club World Cash Grab or something along those lines, but had a Monopoly man on the back with MLS. It's pretty funny. Definitely check it out.
Nice.
They even took the team photo pregame in it. So, yeah, thought that was kind of awesome. So, hopefully MLS comes to their senses and actually pays the players because, it's interesting when you think about the last 3-4 years, how many more games these guys are being asked to play with Leagues Cup, Open Cup, Club World Cup, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. But contracts have not gone up comparatively. They're being asked to play more games with the same amount of pay. So, definitely.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because if you think about it, right? I believe you and I were both season ticket holders. My season tickets have, gone up. Just last year, they went up probably 15 to 20%. The year prior to that, they went up. Year prior to that, they went up. I don't think the players down across every single roster were getting, 15 to 20% increase last year. They probably weren't getting the same increase that my season tickets went up every single year. So it's not like they're seeing any more of that money that MLS is deciding, your season tickets, we're going to raise those. And now, granted, I think teams can, they can choose to raise by however much they want, right? And certainly that happened with Miami when Messi came around. But yeah, who's seeing that money?
MLS and the owners, man, they talk about how much money they're making all the time, and it's hard for me because for FC Dallas they shut down half the stadium because if you watch the FC Dallas games, the entire back half of the stadium is empty. They're literally renovating it. Everything behind it's all getting knocked down. They've got some 4-year plan, blah, blah, blah. So they shut down half the stadium. So all the season tickets went up anyway because of that, just because they literally cut capacity in half. Luckily, my section wasn't too crazy. It was 8% or something. It was really low. But there were some people that had literally a 200+% increase. I mean, over double. It was crazy. It was really crazy. But Yeah, and look, I know a lot of people listening are sitting here being like, well, I wish I could, I could play a game and get paid a bunch of money for this and that. But you have to understand, like, teams view these players as commodities. They're not. Look, I mean, guys are traded, sold, swapped all the time, right? And so, for these guys, they have a very short window in their career in which they need to make every penny they can. And literally, I mean, think about it. Any game, like we've seen some, it's getting better, but any game you could go out in a harsh tackle or this or that, and that's it. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
We've seen. I'm just thinking, gosh, the last one, New England Revolution, Dylan Barrero. I mean, that guy was a promising young talent. Blows his knee out, his ACL out. Now he's a backup in a team in Argentina. It's just like, man, you got to get every penny you can when you can. So, yeah, it doesn't make me any more sad when I hear that millionaires are making slightly less money and have to pay people who are not millionaires more. But that's not what this podcast is about. It's about soccer.
Right. Well, do you want to talk briefly about some soccer that might have happened here midweek? And just we're going to keep playing on the concept of tons of matches for MLS teams. So last night would have been, Sunday, June 1st, was the finals of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's between the
Seattle,
Vancouver
Minnesota.
Whitecaps.
Oh, wait. No. Oh, that
Yeah.
other game.
Yeah, that other
That
game. That's
other
right.
game.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, so I kind of went into the weeds on this one because we were talking about it. So yeah, Vancouver was done no favors by MLS playing midweek, but what I noticed, Beau, is since the change in the contest format, I don't think an MLS team's gonna really have any meaningful way to have the same preparation that a Liga MX team that makes the finals is going to have, because this is, a June, late May match, because they give a full month between the semifinals and the finals, because, CONCACAF, I'm sure, wants to sell hospitality packages, sell ticket packages, get travel, make as much money as they can on the final, which is that's just the nature of the beast within the sport, right? Do you know what isn't going on in June?
Oh,
Uh, Liga MX is not going on in
oh,
June because the Clausura, the end of their season,
because they
is
follow the rest of the world schedule, unlike us.
the start of May is when their season ends.
I have a
Uh,
feeling in the next couple of years, though, that MLS and Liga MX schedules will line up, that MLS is going to be getting on board with the rest of the world. I genuinely believe that. Some of the whispers I'm hearing are very much showing that's an inevitability rather than anything else, which, look, great for me, because in December it's still like 50 degrees most of the time. It's not really that cold, it's fine
yeah.
for me,
Hey,
much less so
Cincinnati,
for,
it's 50s in December.
yeah, I mean, it's,
Don't even talk to me about January and
yeah.
February.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, and we don't get snow here. We just get ice. So, and the infrastructure and everything is not prepared to handle it. So, yeah, it's a little different. But anyway, yeah, I think one of the things. So one of the things that we talked about, Vancouver played 5 games in 15 days, and that
It's a
include
lot of soccer.
Minnesota. And I know before you're like, oh, but yes, MLS gave Vancouver the opportunity to move the game against Minnesota. But if you look at the schedule, I don't know where they were going to move it to. They've already have other game. I mean, they had a game moved this one. They were supposed to play. I think it was Colorado. Is maybe
That or
who
maybe
they were.
Portland. I don't.
It was one of those. They were supposed to play
Yeah.
one of them this weekend, but it was postponed. So they're supposed to move 2 games again. It's too many games. There's too many competitions, and so Vancouver just had to be like, no, we're just going to have to stick with and go what we got. So um, I tweeted this last night. I genuinely believe Don Garber and MLS are very much a reason for the poor showing that we had last night. I mean, they are literally just running teams into the ground for the cash grab that is the Leagues Cup, and that's all that it is. Don't pretend it's not anything else. Like, look, it was a cool idea at first. It hasn't filled out stadiums, this and that. It is not a thing that needs to be every year at all. This is a strict cash grab, is all it is. And so I Again, I tweeted, I think that this maybe shows that MLS executives that maybe CONCACAF Champions Cup is not as important to them as it is to the fans. That we value Champions Cup, or Champions League, Champions Cup, whatever you want to call it, more than the people who in charge do. And I think that was very evident with the decisions that were made in the last month.
Yeah. And I mean, even if Vancouver moves the Minnesota match, like, to your point, then they've played 4 matches in 15 days. You know, it's not like it gets a whole lot better.
It's a great point.
I mean, Cruz Azul had almost 3 weeks going into this match.
But look, let's not say, look, Cruz Azul was the better team. Straight up.
Yeah.
I mean,
1,000,000%.
I mean,
I don't know if teams are equally rested. I don't know if that match turns out differently. Like, Cruz Azul were just far and away superior, like, in every facet.
They were, I mean, but also look at talent. Like, they brought in, like, Georgios Giacomakis was a pretty expensive high-end DP for Atlanta United just a few years ago. He came off the bench for Cruz Azul. Came off the bench. Like, they have DP level players coming off of the bench. And again, it's just, I think that as long as
so does Orlando.
I just think that it's going to be very difficult for as long as MLS keeps the training wheels on GMs and the teams and that it's going to be very difficult to compete. And you know, maybe this also should show that maybe I know it was a big deal, but maybe was it 2021? Wait, no, when was it with Seattle? 2022. I would say 2022 when Seattle won. That was probably a bigger deal than I mean, it was big, but it was like, man, the more time goes on, it was like, I don't think that we really knew. I mean, because look, I was telling my wife this last night. When you look into the laws and odds of probabilities, casinos always do well because they have essentially infinite resources, right? Like casinos, literally, like, you have to go and you have to play with their own currency, these chips, right? So literally, they are playing with infinite money. And so let's just say that you do something like hey, we're just going to flip a coin 50-50 shot, which none of the games casinos are that. And you start with $10,000. Eventually, even though it's supposed to be 50-50 with the laws and odds of probability, you will go broke because the rule is just nothing's ever truly 50-50, right? You go on runs, et cetera, et cetera. You will eventually go broke. Whoever has the most resources will always come out on top. And that's just what we've seen literally for the existence of this competition. Seattle was the one-off. And so, I just think that they had a great shot. Not having Berhalter really was a suck because JC Ngando just was not up for it last night. Most of the team wasn't up for it. Andres Kubas gave up the first 2 goals. And that guy's your defensive linchpin. I mean, he holds the midfield together. So to have the guy that literally they have relied upon so much, literally be responsible for the first 2 goals and giving them up, had to have shaken the confidence of the whole team. And at some point, you're just like that. And also, another thing too, since they've changed the format to a single game and it's not at a neutral site at all, it's in Mexico. Look, everything was stacked against Vancouver. Everything. Where it was played, when, the altitude. I mean, literally, like, so many things. How many games played, everything. And it showed last night. And I think it's just simple as that. They probably had a plan, but who said that Muhammad Ali, everyone's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth? Yeah.
I thought it was Mike Tyson.
May have been Tyson. It was one of those boxer guys who got hit a bunch.
Who gets hit in the mouth.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was ugly, man. Like, it was Cruz Azul dominated. And look, kudos to Cruz Azul because you know what? They were supposed to go out there and win and kick butt, and they did. Like, and not only did they do it, they did it above what everyone thought, you know, that they were supposed to do. It was brutal. It reminded me, it was as bad as the PSG Inter Milan game. I mean, it was
literally the same scoreline.
Yeah, literally. Like, and the fact that Cruz Azul also got a shout out from PSG for that as well on their Twitter. I thought was pretty cool, but. Yeah, that was brutal. I definitely had higher expectations, but
We move next year. We're gonna do it all again.
Yay!
We're gonna have a team play in June.
But guess what? 2029 Vancouver in the Club World Cup. Over under 1 player from this. I'm going to set the over-under at 1.5 of players on this squad who are in the Club World Cup in 4 years.
I'm gonna say over, but I think it's gonna be like exactly 2.
I thought about setting it 2.5 because I was kind of thinking 2, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who's going to be there.
Well, it's because like it's not gonna be Ryan Gauld, right? It's not gonna be Brian White.
No, probably not Kubas.
It's not gonna be
It's going to be like Matthias
It's gonna be like
Laporta
Jaden Nelson.
or maybe, or like, yeah, it's going to be, or actually it'll probably be
Ali Ahmed,
Tate Johnson, the rookie, the super draft pick playing on defense. It'll be Tate
honestly
Johnson.
Great shout.
Yeah,
like that. It's going to be someone who's like probably under 24.
Yeah, for sure. But well, that was probably more than even needed to be said about that shellacking.
Maybe it was, but we'll never know. We'll never know, bro, because we have a lot to talk about. And look, there's so many infinite possibilities of games to talk about. I literally have a list up in front of me right here, and it's just like all of them. Like every single match that ever could have happened ever seems to have happened. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say
I want to bring up a game
I was gonna say for all like the 0-0s, for like, you know, the 1-0s, for like the games that were very blah, we're probably not gonna touch on them. So apologies to listeners who had games where both of your matches were blah. I'm terribly sorry your matches were blah. We have a million matches just this week to talk about, so some of these.
That's what we were talking about before we started. You know, time is valuable. There's only so much. Like Vancouver, Minnesota, on Wednesday was one of the most boring games I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. I mean, it just was straight. I mean, it was an actual, like, I actually found myself dozing off, which doesn't happen. Like, not in MLS games. Like, I doze off during, weirdly, like, European games or stuff, which I know I'm just weird.
Or the seventh inning of a
MLS,
Reds game.
just baseball or football in general, absolutely. But, like, I don't doze off in MLS games, man. Like, I'm in. I'm too much of a sicko. But, dude, that was a snooze fest. But, like, one game I want to bring up, man, did you watch the Philadelphia-Toronto game?
Was that a Wednesday match?
Yeah. Man, Toronto gave Philly a scare. Toronto, it took Nathan Harriel dunking on a dude on a corner, and then Kai Wagner, I mean, just hitting a shot, and it hits a dude, and it was amazing. So Sean Johnson, the shot's kind of like going off like to Sean Johnson's left, so he kind of goes down, but the ball hits the defender. And so what the ball does, it literally just stops, and in slow motion just takes this like super high arc and just goes like Sean Johnson just like watching it go up over his head right into the goal. I mean, it was just like it was amazing. Like, it was such a fun game to watch. But showed me two things. It definitely was. Like, it was amazing. I feel like Sean Johnson, I've done that before in a game when I play goalkeeper, but like I'm not a professional goalkeeper. So I'm like, maybe he shouldn't do that. So I think he was trying to go down, fell to his knees. I felt like he may have had enough time to get up to make the save. I don't know. Easy for me to say from the comfort of my chair. But two things this game showed me was that, first of all, like, good teams find a way to get it done. They just do, right? I mean, your Columbus is like, I mean, just these teams are finding a way to grind out a win, even when it's stacked up against them.
It's funny you say Columbus because they didn't win either of their matches.
No, I know. Yes. That's why I said Columbus last year. Yeah. But also another thing, too, that Toronto, Robin Fraser's actually working with, I mean, this is spare parts is what this is. He's working with guys who every time I tune in, I'm like, oh, there's a name. Like, I do not remember that. And, you know, I don't get surprised by names too often, but I'm like, okay, like this, okay. But
Insigne is still in the league? What?
Dude. But yeah, he is stringing together results with literal spare parts. And so good on Robin Fraser. He is making some headway with what is a Montreal level S squad. Maybe worse, because, you know, they at least. Ooh, is it worse? I'm trying to think. Toronto spends money. It was just they spend it really poorly, and they tie up all the resources in actual doo-doo. And so Yeah, you're probably right.
Montreal is still worse.
Yeah, Montreal's
because
worse.
look at the ownership of Montreal.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so true. Yep.
Sorry, Montreal. Because
Pour
it
one out
wasn't
for our
meant to be.
homies.
We didn't go into this matchup planning to like throw strays at Montreal.
No, I wasn't going, hey, let's talk crap at Montreal. I mean, although
Yeah,
it's easy to.
it just happens.
They
Yeah,
literally
it
do it
just
to
happens.
themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so but Toronto, right? When you back to the meat and potatoes here, is that all you had?
Oh, I thought that when you said like back to meat and potatoes, you were like, so Toronto. Yeah, I mean, look, they're at least they're trying to play Insigne. I know they tried to hold out. I'm glad they did. Bernadeschi's hurt, so that's tough. But
I feel
they're
bad for Bernadeschi because like he seems like he seems like he cares. He seems like he's really wanting to try, and like I feel like that almost makes it worse to see him playing for Toronto because I'm like, this is a guy who like he was sold on the project and like he came
yeah.
here and like he's actually given it his all and it's just like and everything around this dude is just like he would probably be amazing on a different team in this league, but no one's gonna take him.
I don't know with Toronto, man. I feel bad for any fan that has to show up and that they're expecting to get good, meaningful minutes out of Derek Etienne Jr. I just feel bad for those guys, and so Atlanta had to suffer for a while. Toronto, now it's your turn. I don't know what you guys did. Apparently, you did something really, really heinous. Um, but this is your penance.
Yeah, I'll tell you what the heinous thing they did is they said that they were gonna retrofit BMO Stadium to seat 40,000 people, ruining the iconic seat line and structure of the stadium for World
Yep.
Cup.
There you go, right there.
Yeah,
Bada
loved
bing, bada boom.
every time I've seen BMO Stadium when I visit Toronto, the matches that I've been to at BMO Stadium, it's like what a gorgeous stadium. If you have not been to BMO Stadium, it's great place to visit.
I'll have to. I've never been to Toronto. Actually, I've never been to Canada. So one day.
Go to Toronto. Such a fantastic city, though.
Yeah,
Love
I
every single trip that I make to Toronto.
would not mind. Would not mind.
Except
Except the most recent.
caveat, yeah. Except the caveat being my most recent trip where I did not have a good trip to Toronto.
Yeah, but you got to experience the Canadian healthcare system, which I'm sure
Yeah,
was a
I
treat.
got to experience the Canadian healthcare system. So there you go. Hey, you mentioned fans who have shown up and shown out for Toronto week in week out. I want to mention the fans for LA Galaxy that continued to show up to LA Galaxy matches and were finally rewarded with a win when LA Galaxy won at home in front of their fans against RSL. I will be honest with you, Beau. I didn't actually think it was going to happen.
I'm
Like
so disappointed. I really wanted them to go winless for at least half the season. That was just
they were one away.
Real Salt Lake. You had one job. You had one job, and it was
Technically, doesn't
honestly
every team have one job, Beau? Isn't
no.
the job always to just win?
But see, here's the thing: like LA Galaxy, like yeah, their job's to win, but like let's just be real, like no. But Real Salt Lake, like every other team, has bashed them down in amazing public fashion. So you could come in and just all you got to do is pick up the scraps. But nope, it was a bit too much.
But look, I mean, I'm
not mad. I'm just disappointed. Okay,
we're always a little disappointed in RSL, but Beau, I want to say I think you probably could have seen this coming if you've been watching LA matches for the past few weeks. Like their results were getting closer. There looked to be actual fight in their matches.
sure.
There looked to be actual threat in them. So I think the win was coming at some point. I think RSL was a good opponent for it to happen against because I think RSL are a very beatable team right now. But yeah,
I thought Lucas Sanabria actually had a good game, which was kind of big for them because he's been a dog's breakfast so far. I really like so far what I've seen out of Mateus. Is it Nascimento? Nascimento. Yeah. I like what I've seen out of him so far. I don't know. I haven't heard a bunch of other people singing his praises, so maybe I'm alone on that. But I'm not like calling him like he's going to be next great striker. But I think he's definitely been good enough to get them he's definitely closed the gap to them actually winning games.
Yeah. I will say his name popped up a lot actually in FC Cincinnati scouting
Okay.
as like a yeah, as like a player that, Cincinnati was looking at I want to say a few transfer windows back. So like he's definitely been on the radar for teams.
Mhm.
So I was happy to see someone in the league sign him because he checked a lot of the boxes for a player that you'd want to see in MLS. And I
Yeah,
think
and
he
it
just wasn't
was
starting for a lot of the season for Galaxy.
this actually showed. So Galaxy haven't really been great with the ball, for a team that's possession based. But so I don't know if you know what, like, for our listeners, field tilt. So field tilt is basically this, of that when the ball is in the opponent's final third. So when the ball is in the final third of either field, what percentage of the time is it in? So, oh, there you're tilting to the side. I was
I
like,
was
man,
tilting, yeah.
okay.
Or did you think my camera was just going weird?
I thought maybe you had finally lost it, or
Though I
your
I
cat.
lost it years ago.
That's true. But so listen. So field tilt is basically when the ball is in the final third. Is it in which? Is it in the is it the Galaxy attacking side, or is it their defending side, etc. Right. So it basically shows you like who's on the front foot attacking. And Galaxy, I mean, it was 55-45 Salt Lake, meaning that when the ball was in the final third, 55% of the time that possession was in there was Real Salt Lake, and 45% was Galaxy, which that shows that Galaxy were actually doing a pretty good job of getting the ball into the final third and actually holding it and possessing it. They were allowing it just as much as Real Salt Lake. So they were actually, it shows that they're limiting chances and actually making meaningful movement into the scoring area, which is a change for them. Because normally the field tilt's pretty extreme. They're on the back foot a lot. So this was definitely a step in the right direction. One thing that really showed me for Real Salt Lake, that I saw that number and I was just like, ugh, 19 shots, 4 on target.
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring that up.
4 on target.
It's
13 of
not very
those,
good.
no, 13 of those were considered poor shots. They only had one great shot. No good. So it's just, they outshot the Galaxy by over
2 to
100%.
1. Yeah.
Yeah, like literally, it was. And so it's just, you got to get the ball in the frame, man. That's a big thing for me. Look, I know that these goalkeepers this level are very good, right? You have to aim for the sides. Like if it's not, you can't just shoot semi in the middle. It's going to go in. This isn't college or anything anymore, right? You've got to go for the sides, and I get it, but man, the finishing's got to be better. Got to be better for Salt Lake. Uh, yeah, I know Agata missed a nice one. Luna had a few chances, but yeah. So LA Galaxy, it's like they're taking RSL out to dinner. Big old thank you. Congratulations. You guys know what 3 points feels like.
Yeah. I just want to note LA Galaxy, even with the wretched, terrible form that they're in, they have half the season to claw back 13 points. They're 13 points off of a playoff spot, which is just like for as bad as they've been, if you told someone you're 13 points away from the playoffs, most teams would look at that and be like, half a season to make up 13 points. Okay. If we play out of our minds, like it's insane that they're not mathematically out of the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs for the
They're
record.
mathematically out. They would need, what was the math? It was almost 2 points a game or something to close,
Yeah,
basically
to
for
close the gap. Yeah.
for what the historical thing is, that this is what you need to make the playoffs. They would need, it's over. They almost have to win out basically, because the teams
Hmm.
ahead of you are going to win too. So they're going to have to go on, while setting the record for most a winless record. They're going to have to go on a winning streak and set another record to make the playoffs.
Could you imagine?
Which, dude, it's
Again,
MLS. I can
they're
imagine.
they're not going to do it, but what an unbelievable like the Apple TV executives would be like, how did we not get a camera crew
Could you
on LA
imagine?
Galaxy following them around?
Could you imagine how much more, like, Greg Vanney's already kind of a tough guy to like, you're around him and he's kind of insufferable. Could you imagine after that? Like, could you imagine Greg Vanney?
He'd
By
be
the way,
like,
listener, when I say like, look, like 13, like RSL had 19 shots, 13 of them were considered poor shots. Poor shots means they have statistically less than a 5% chance of scoring. I mean, that's just, we're talking like you're shooting from 20 yards outside, 30 yards outside the box, which is what they were doing. I mean, there's at least 7 shots here that are 25 to 30 yards outside the box, right at the goalkeeper. Yeah, not good enough. Sorry, I had to get us away because I started thinking about Greg Vanney. I was getting angry.
yeah, no, okay. It's fine. It's understandable. It's understandable.
You
Hey,
have to have
okay, let
dinner with
me.
one. You have to have dinner with one. Are you having dinner with Caleb Porter or Greg Vanney?
Can I set them up on a date with each other and just not show up?
I mean, they
Like,
can
can
show up on a date holding hands at your house if you want them both.
no, I would like them to go to dinner with each other, and me be nowhere near that. Like in
No,
this
no, I
world.
know.
Hey, I would like to discuss with you something very fascinating,
It's true.
which is consider, if you will, Nashville SC.
I'm aware of their existence.
Yeah, you may have heard this name of this team before. They're what? They're like 9 matches unbeaten now or something.
It helps when your DPs figured out how to play soccer again. Sam Surge and
Yeah,
Hani Mukhtar looked straight up lost. Like they literally. I'm still not convinced that they don't have twins who they really like separate at birth and they like grew up in like some like tribe in the Amazon have like never heard of soccer before, and they were like, you know, it would be fun. Let's switch these guys out for a year and just see if anyone notices. And that's kind of, but yeah, both these guys learned how to play soccer. But dude, how about also at
yeah.
the same time New York City getting a result in Nashville? That's not an easy place to play, man. Not when they're
No,
rolling like they have been.
yeah. I mean, Nashville are like just for context, right? Nashville are in 4th place, but like that second to gosh, the East is just so compact right now. But like that puts them in conversation with teams like they're ahead of Columbus, they're tied with Miami, they're a point behind Cincinnati. Like last year, if you told Nashville fans that you're ahead of Columbus or you're like tied with Miami, people would be like, "Oh my gosh, we're an incredible team."
They would actually tell you to have your head checked. But yeah, I would have
Yeah,
to beginning of the year.
yeah. I mean, it's insane,
It
insane.
really just does go to show you what good coaching and buy-in from players does.
Yeah,
It's everything, man.
yeah. Ooh, okay. Just really brief, super brief hit on good coaching. This past weekend, specifically Sunday, Seattle versus Minnesota, Eric Ramsey pulls Markinick after
Oh
a
my
no
gosh.
call second card. Like I was sending a message in a group chat. I'm like, if I'm Ramsey, I'm pulling Markinick right now.
And
And
then
like immediately, like it was the play did not even restart. Ramsey had him off. And like the commentary was like, yeah, we sent someone down to the sideline to confirm they weren't planning to pull
it's
Markinick
supposed to be
off. They were actually,
Robin Lode.
yeah, and like, but they decided to make a change.
I really love Eric Ramsey. He is. I don't like how he plays soccer all the time. I'm not a defense. Let's win set beat. Like I don't think in MLS is a league in which possession and points, possession percentage and points, there's a direct correlation. The more you have the ball, the more points you end up getting. Um, and so the fact that he's doing this is literally contrary to everything we've seen. So it's a very unique thing. It's not fun, so not super fun to watch. But man, that was a great game. Like that really
Yeah.
was. They
Like
oh,
4 goals in 7 minutes is
wasn't
just
that crazy? Like literally
that's
right off the kickoff. Like I was like, oh, there was like, I can't remember. I think
I
Minnesota scored, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get myself, gonna fill up my water bottle, and then like while I'm in there, I like hear shouting and come back, and a goal is scored. I'm like, they just kicked the
what
ball
happened?
off,
Yeah,
like literally right off the kickoff. It was incredible. Such a fun
yeah,
game.
yeah. It made up for a first half that I feel like
Oh,
I'm like, well, that was 45 minutes.
yes, it was 45 minutes. I wish I had back.
Yeah. Okay, so back to coaching real quick. So we're gonna go jump back to Nashville just because I jumped away from them because I got distracted. intrusive thoughts and all that. BJ Callahan, we talked about good coaching, player buy-in. Where are you putting BJ Callahan in like the coaching tier maker right now? Like if you think of a coach like Wilfred Nancy as being like your top tier, like, your A tier, like S tier coaching, right? Where it's just like everyone wants to be this coach or everyone wants this coach as their team. Like where are you putting Callahan right now?
Yeah, so I think your S tier coaches right now are Nance and Jesper Sorensen. Nance not necessarily based on what he's doing this year, but based on what he's done in the past. And really, when you look at what he's, I mean, look, Columbus has been hit hard with injuries, really hard with injuries. Like,
Right.
and
Doesn't
Wilfred
have a
Nance,
striker as well.
right? Wilfred Nancy does not like having a big squad. He is very much of like he wants a tight knit group. He doesn't do a ton of players. So there's a lightning bug over here. Come cool. I haven't seen one of those in a while. Like literally a squirrel, except Firefly. Yeah. So um, that A tier is where it gets to like Brian
It's
Schmetzer's.
murky.
Brian
Yeah.
Schmetzer, it's like he's straddling A and S for me. Like he's kind of that. I think Callahan's got to be in
For
there.
your consideration, Brian
Bradley
Schmetzer
Carnell.
has won CONCACAF Champions League.
Very great point. Yes, and look, that's the thing. Look, the dude gets his club at least to the Western Conference Finals almost every year. I mean, he probably is an S tier candidate if you just look at because like look, doing it is good, but doing it for as long as he has is what's incredible. Like, and I mean that's just amazing. Doing it for consistently, and this is a guy who it's well, one of the things I want to interview him so badly because I want to talk. How do you get? I mean, Raul Ruidiaz and Nico Ladero, they may build statues after them, like outside of the Seattle Stadium, right? He got both of those guys to somehow buy into being bench players. Dude, those are some huge egos. Those are some big-headed dudes. Okay, like I know. I don't know how he did it. And so, yes, Schmetzer probably is an S tier. So in your A tier, I think you've got, I think Bradley Carnell. I mean, it's got to be Noonan, right? Noonan's not A tier at this point. I mean, what about Curtin? Do you think Curtin consider? I mean, I know he's not coaching, but
Yeah, I'd
can
put
a guy
Curtin
who
in
doesn't
A
have a
tier.
job? Okay, I was like, I think
Yeah.
Callahan's got to be sitting in that A conversation.
Okay, you're thinking he's B right now. Let's see a little bit more of his body of work, and maybe he's pushing up to A at the end of the season.
I want to see. I think that Nashville plays very high risk soccer. They are very high risk. They are pushing guys up. Um, they give a lot of room to play behind the back. Like it's some high risk, very high reward soccer. I want to see how that goes for more than just half a season. I want to see how does it go when how does he do when say a Mukhtar or Zimmerman? Like how much of that is being or sorry Zimmerman Surridge is been playing out of his mind. Mukhtar's been doing great. I
Yeah,
want to
and
see
Surridge is what,
just
second in the Golden Boot race right now?
he is which is crazy for a guy who looks like he last year like he forgot where the goal was.
Yeah, I mean, Surridge. I got flack for picking Surridge in the Golden
Yeah.
Boot draft that we did.
Oh yeah, I gave you flack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't just you.
Yeah. Um,
And to be
no, I
fair, I
think.
mean, he was 10th pick for a reason.
Dang it, you know him. The San Diego coach.
Mikey Varis.
Thank you. I was like, it's not Mickey. He's done a really good job. I think that there's a lot of people in the B tier conversation. And not A. Now I have a question for you. Greg Vanney probably was sitting in that A to B tier prior to the season.
I think you could still keep him at the A tier, even
Really?
with yeah. I mean, think about the success he's had. He's won MLS Cup with multiple teams. Think about LA Galaxy had a roster implosion this offseason. No Ricky Pooge. I think
And
like
went on to set a record, but not in a good way.
But he's a record-setting coach.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, but you have heard of me. Doesn't matter if I'm the worst pirate you've ever heard of.
Ah, but you have heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again. I'm looking at like body of work. Like I don't know if a historic bad run where you can hand wave a lot of excuses for Galaxy is enough to knock him out of A tier.
I've got one I'm going to put in A tier that I think might shock you.
Okay,
And
Danny Sartini. I'm not shocked.
no, although gosh, that man is incredible. Oh my gosh, what an amazing dude to just talk with. He is incredible. I mean, any guy who just gets up on stage with Nickelback and starts singing a song, and yeah, even though it's Nickelback, doesn't matter. The fact that he's just like, yeah, it's Nickelback. No,
So what?
Greg Berhalter, what he
No, that doesn't
has.
shock me.
Yeah, I think he is an A tier. I think that by next season we'll have him as an S tier coach.
Now that shocks me. Okay, all right.
Because look at what he did with Columbus, and then all of a sudden he comes into a Chicago team that has had not just a losing culture, but a humiliating culture for the last decade plus. And through less than half a season, he's turning that around. I mean, Chicago should have beat Miami earlier this year. Like it was some pretty crazy, stupid, insane stuff that they did it. I think that didn't they went in and spanked our Orlando in Orlando? If only we had
Yeah, yeah.
someone who
That did
likes
happen.
Orlando here.
Yeah, if only.
So
Well,
I
he's hiding
think,
his face.
yeah, I mean, justifiably. No, but I think that Berhalter, for all of you U.S. national team guys, no, can't be I think Berhalter is already an A tier, and just based off of what he's been able to do. I mean, look at his midfield, man. He's playing with. This is not his first choice, and he is. They are. They are hanging in there. So, thank you
You
for my
know,
TED talk.
I'm looking at the standings. Okay, and this is gonna sidetrack us for a hot second. The points per game historically to make the playoffs has been around 1.4 points per game around the end of the season. In the East, Chicago in 11th place are sitting on 1.47 points per game. Meanwhile, in the West, um, ninth place Houston
Wait, who?
sit on
Wait,
1.18.
who? Russell? Who's in ninth place?
Ninth place Houston.
Houston? Whoa,
Houston.
Houston? God,
Houston.
guys, are you shocked by that?
I'm a little shocked by it. I'm not gonna lie.
I am not. I have been buying Houston stock, and let me tell you something, my friends. The future is bright. I don't know why I sang that. Thought it might make it more exciting, but I'm tone deaf, so it probably just hurt everyone's ears.
Point being, I want to point out if you had 1.47 points per game, the team lowest placed with above 1.47 points per game is LAFC in sixth place
Yeah.
at 1.53. That is so. My question to you is the East an absolute buzzsaw of of a conference, or is the West not good, or is the
Two
West
things
like
can be true.
yeah, or is it that the West is so stratified? Like, are the top teams in the West just so much incredibly better than everyone else in the West? Is it three things that are true here?
I think that their top five teams, even though the fifth place team is the pretender in the
Right.
West, um, which is Portland, for those of you not pulling up standings as we talk, I think that there are clear, there are five teams that are head and shoulders above everyone else. Then you have your Portland, San Jose, Colorado, Houston, Austin, Dallas, and those guys any day can beat any one of themselves. Those teams have the ability to win 4-0 or lose 17-0. Like they're so, and then obviously you have Sporting KC, Real Salt Lake, St. Louis Galaxy, where it's just that. And look, St. Louis. I know you got to win this weekend, but I'm sure we'll get to that. But even that win was not pretty. That was not even close to pretty. But
Better
no,
than what they've been playing, though, for the record.
it's a low bar. But no, I think that absolutely that the West is, you have a clear top tier top 4, maybe 5 teams, and then you have a middle-ish tier of like guys who can, depending upon what side of the bed they roll out of that day, they maybe can get it done, and then you have the bottom of the barrel. Whereas
Right.
East is a buzzsaw, man. I mean, Chicago in 11th. Chicago could. I bet Chicago right now.
Chicago could beat Philadelphia.
Chicago would beat Portland in 5th, LAFC in 6th. They might beat Seattle in 4th, and maybe even San Diego in 2nd. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like I'm not going to say they would, but like it would be a game, right? Like it would be something you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that game. Whereas like similar points wise in the East, I mean that's like saying is FC Dallas gonna, how are they gonna hold up against San Diego? Well, we already saw it was 5-0. So yeah, no, the East is now the East has a flaming bucket of doo doo at the bottom, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, the East is definitely a buzzsaw. But which bucket of doo doo do you hate? Do you like more? Do you like Real Salt Lake, St. Louis Galaxy, or Atlanta, Toronto, Montreal?
I ooh
And
ooh.
really, the fact that Atlanta is
I
behind DC United is sickening.
I think I take Salt Lake St. Louis Galaxy because I don't know how it gets better for Montreal.
At
So like
least, at least with the
in
Galaxy,
Toronto, yeah, in Toronto, same thing. Like I don't know how it gets better for them.
like at least with like the one thing I can't say about Salt Lake and then the Galaxy, this and that, like you tune in, like okay, it may not be good, but I get to see Diego Luna or Paintsill or Peck play.
Right.
Dude,
Like there's
Montreal and Toronto, like I'm like, what I get to
yeah.
see Lorenzo Insigne walk around?
Yeah,
I
like
don't.
there's bright spots on those rosters, and St. Louis has at least made a coaching change and in an effort to try something new.
Which let's talk about that. I'm gonna tell you something. The problem with St. Louis is not the coach. It is a problem, but the problem is Lutz Van and still calling the shots. Um, look, I great. He put a great roster in. He had one of the best coaches in MLS in Bradley Carnell. All of the underlying stats told them they vastly overperformed their first year, and they were going to come crashing back down. Then guess what, folks? They came crashing back down to the mean. They did exactly what the stats said, and then all of a sudden, St. Louis, we are shocked. We expect better. And then what do they do now? They brought in who was the temporary coach? They brought in
Hackworth.
yes, John Hackworth, which dude, kudos to you off the top of your head like that. That was yeah,
He's in charge of the St. Louis's 2 team right now
two
as well, I
team.
believe.
Which how in the heck that guy doesn't get that job after the way they played last year? Lutz Van and Steel is a if you're not have a sexy European name or this or that, he's not interested. And I really think that he is the problem. And a lot of the things, if you listen and read between the lines as to what a lot of the more big name soccer writers and stuff are saying, they're saying the same thing, and people in the organization think the same thing. Is that Lutz is the one who is the problem?
Do you think that this coaching change will be his last shot? Like the next time it goes wrong, that Steele is out.
I don't think so because it's a quote. It's a it's an interim, so it's not the guy he wanted. It was just like, oh, this is a guy we have to have. But like,
Mm,
I was listening to Tom Bogert talk whenever they talked about they fired him, and like he said that he reached out to one of the dudes in spring training, and it was like, hey man, like how's it going? Like a guy in the St. Louis front office, and it was like they just said not good. And like he was like, look, like most of the time you just get good, man. You like it's even if you're not good, you just say good. But it was like from the beginning in January, February, they're looking at they're just like, no, it's not very good, man. This isn't looking good. This isn't looking right. This is a guy who
it
played.
didn't look good on the field either.
This is
So
a guy who played 5 center backs, started 5 center backs in one game. I mean, just. But so yeah, Lutz Van den Steel. Like, and look, Olaf Mellberg isn't sitting down in his job interview and being like, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play 5 center backs, and we're not going to go forward with the ball at all. We're going to. He's not saying that, right? Like, obviously, he does well in interviews, but um, how you can
what if he did
go.
say that? What if that's exactly what he said in the interview? What if he's like,
And he was
well, you
just like,
see, my philosophy is heavy focus on being a lockdown defense and then transitioning quickly when we get the opportunities. And what if that's exactly what he said? And you know, and Lutz was like, sold.
or he was like, you know what? I've heard of this Gavin guy in Orlando. I bet he could lead us to victory. And Mellberg was
Yeah,
like,
Gavin.
watch this. Ah. Hi,
Yeah.
Gavin.
Well, hey, speaking of that Gavin guy, joining us, very late out, he was on the prowl. He was looking for fresh meat, the lion stalking.
But with his lovely locks intact.
Yeah, with his lovely locks, he's got, the mane of a lion, even if he does not yet have the roar, or the dignity of a lion. You can find him on social media at Lionsblog1. Gavin, hello.
Hey, okay,
No, okay.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
more important question. Gavin, take us through your hair care routine. Is it L'Oreal? Is it Maybelline? Like, what are you using?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. I don't. I don't really.
Gavin does, and you can level with us on this. When you get into the shower,
Mhm.
does the item that you grab first say 16 in 1?
No, it does not.
Okay.
It is a real hair care product that women would use. My salon lady recommended it to me, and I just do whatever she or my wife says, essentially, when it comes to my hair. So
Do you ever don a shower cap?
no,
Darn.
I wash my
Because
hair every time.
I secretly would love to see a photo of you in like a purple shower cap.
I'm
But then I say that, and
considering-
that sounded weird.
Yeah, do you want the whole photo? I'm considering getting a bonnet because every time I sleep, my hair just goes like super flat, and it's pretty annoying. But any other questions on my mane, my luscious mane?
Can
So I
you?
have something
Can your
to
bonnet have a
rant about.
bee imprinted on it? So you can
It
make
could,
like
yeah.
bee in your bonnet. Sorry, I thought it was gonna
Yeah,
be funny,
yeah.
and then I got halfway through and realized.
Oh yeah.
So,
I get what you're saying now.
yeah,
Or like a picture of a bee.
You guys see the news how like 250 million bees like got released from a truck out in like, what was it, Washington or something? And
I did see that.
yeah, and their emergency management was like, look, we can advise you on how to prepare for various emergencies, but nobody could have expected 250 million bees. Just don't go near that.
Yeah, just stay away.
Yeah, just stay away.
Gosh, how scary. No, okay, so obviously we didn't put out an episode last week, right?
I'm shocked, Gavin. I'm shocked, I tell you.
I'm sorry to the listeners. This is my fault. I'm going to put up my hand. My fault. And here's what happened. I just got to explain myself. I recorded 50 minutes of footage last Monday. It was Monday night. Always record on Monday. No, Tuesday. It was Memorial Day. Sorry. So Monday was Memorial Day. I recorded on Tuesday. My mic was on mute the whole time.
Incredible.
And I lost the will to record for the rest of the week. The rest of the week, I was like, I'm not doing it again. I'm not repeating myself. I had previewed the LAFC game. I previewed the Vancouver game. I went over. Well, I was watching the highlights. I was live watching the highlights. I'm not doing this again. So that is my fault. My mic is not on mute now, but 50 minutes of recording where it's just me yapping. It's just me talking, except you can't hear anything. It is just video form.
We should release the episode, which would be on Spotify as a 50-minute just silent track.
Yeah. With chapters and everything.
Right, and it's going to be like the sounds of Gavin being muted.
Yeah.
And
so,
yeah.
It'll probably be our most downloaded episode.
Probably.
People would use it to like fall asleep to at night.
Like, I'm gonna have Gavin read to me.
Gavin,
tell me your
muted.
thoughts on Vancouver Cruz Azul, big guy.
I have a lot
We'll
of
never
thoughts. Yeah. So I had to get that out there. I know I've totally derailed y'all's conversation at this point, and we can keep going, but I had to get that out there. That I apologize for messing that up last week.
One thing we can
would
say,
you be, Gavin? I was going to say, how mad would you be, Gavin, if I told you that we were done and about to wrap up?
I wouldn't be mad. I'd be
Would you just be disappointed?
extremely surprised, considering we usually go 2 hours minimum.
Right. Okay.
I just want to
Well, I'm
throw
not going
in.
to tell you that.
I just want to throw in that now that Olaf Mellberg is gone, that Gavin now once again has the best hair in MLS. So,
Hell yeah.
congratulations.
I thought about making a sarcastic quip, being like, you compete with Jesper Sorensen, but
Horn went
Who's
out
got
with
nice
Jesper.
hair in MLS?
I'll tell you who's got nice hair.
Ben
outside of
Bender
MLS.
has really nice hair.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, which I should probably tell you guys this off. Anyway, whatever. I got to spend like 5 minutes talking with him this weekend. That dude is just straight up an awesome guy. Like, very open. Was very open about his time in like Charlotte and everything. It was some pretty eye-opening conversation, but like awesome dude, Ben Bender. Ben, if you're listening, which would be awesome, love you, man.
Hell yeah.
In a non-weird way.
In a non-Jack McGlynn way. There's no way you guys were about to wrap up. There's no way.
Well, I'm not going to tell you that we were. I was just curious what your reaction would be if I had told you that.
If you were like being truthful, I would. I'd say bad timing on my part because I just extended the episode by a little bit. But
well, the good news for you, Gavin, is we're now about to talk about our second match of the weekend. So
there was a lot of news to cover, to be fair. So I feel like you covered the news.
I like it. Gavin did not question that even a little bit when I said second match. But when I said, "Oh, we're almost done," he's like, "There's no way." He has so little faith in us that he 100% believes that we would spend an hour and 15 minutes talking through news in one match.
Okay,
justifiably so.
There's LAFC making Club World Cup. There's
we actually haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, I haven't even
there's
hit
Vancouver, Olaf Mellberg.
Hit up on both those.
Galaxy getting their first win.
Hit on that.
I figured you were going to start with that. So like there's quite a few different things you could get up to an hour on if you spent 15 minutes on each.
So hey, we should talk about that. Congratulations to LAFC and their 9.5, their pallet full of cash trophy that they got.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a weird looking trophy, but it'll work.
I'd take a trophy shaped like that too.
I would take a $9.5 million shaped trophy for sure.
Yeah. Well, now hold on. What if someone gave you something that was shaped like an object worth $9.5 million? What's the oddest $9.5 million shaped object you can think of?
A cantaloupe.
Gavin,
I can't say it.
This is a family podcast, guys.
All right, fair enough. Well,
how about a bust of Gavin with his flowing locks?
Right, encrusted with diamonds and rubies, and the locks are woven strands of gold.
Well, naturally,
right. Which is what they are in real life, anyway. So.
Where were we?
It's a great question.
Gavin's hair.
Gavin's hair. No,
I heard you guys.
hair,
I heard you guys talking about loots. I heard the word loots or the name loots when I came in.
We did hit on that. Gavin, what's your take on? I mean, Mellberg's gone, but consider, if you will, that. They're probably, because they didn't hire Hackworth when Hackworth made the great turnaround. They went out and hired Mellberg instead. And Lutz is still in charge. What's your take on Lutz being in charge? Do you think there's hope for St. Louis?
So what's funny is when I did my recording last week, where I was on mute, I recorded 20 minutes after the news came out. It came out Tuesday night, is when it got announced that he got sacked. And so I've already given my take on this, actually, but no one ever heard it, unfortunately.
Is there audio proof of this?
No, there isn't. And I deleted the video proof in anger. So
he left just a silent track uploaded to Riverside.
Yeah. No. So, the best thing they can do is learn from the mistake. It was a huge mistake that they made going with the Mellberg hire. They were just in this situation months ago. Everyone knows it. And they fired Carnell, interim head coach the rest of the season. Okay, we're going to go get the guy. They get Mellberg. It doesn't work out. And not only does it not work out, it's like a complete failure of a hire, and that they have to get rid of him so early on into his first season. So now they're in the same exact place. Fired a guy midway through the season. And now do they again do the interim thing throughout the rest of the season, or do they get someone in and try to salvage the season and go for it?
I would ask you this question. Is that not 3 mistakes? Firing Carnell, who's now one of the best coaches in MLS, not hiring Hackman, and then hiring Mellberg. That sounds like 3 mistakes, not one.
Cornell could be a mistake. There's all sorts of different reasons why a coach might work out in one location and not in another. But yeah, you could consider that a mistake, considering where Philadelphia are at now. I think that's fair to say. I just hope that they learn from the mistakes that they've made, and I'm gonna have an open mind that they will, since it was so recent, they can look back very recently and be like, I remember the discussion that we had that led us to this point, because it wasn't 4 years ago, it was 4 months ago. So, that was dramatic, 7 months ago, whatever. So I'm gonna have an open mind and say yes, Lutz can get the right guy in, and like things will work out for them, because things change very quickly in this league. However, if this doesn't work, you're out. You can't have that many mistakes in that short of a time frame, and then the next one you don't learn from the previous mistakes. That's where it's like, okay, you got to go. So I think this next hire is pivotal for Lutz as a technical director or whatever, general manager, whatever his title is.
It's a fair take. I think I would probably side with you on this one. Like, it last chance, the OK Corral on this one.
Definitely.
No, I think that's right. I just don't think he learns. There's no way we can talk all fair about stuff. There's no way he learns.
Fair enough. Hey, I want to throw something completely different your way, but also still Red related. New York Red Bulls got 2 wins in the past 7 days.
It's weird.
Which, and it's not even 2 wins in the past 7 days, because they won away at DC United as well. So that's it's 3 wins in the past 8 days.
Which we know DC United as the Cincinnati Slayers.
Right. And huge, taking on the Goliath that is Cincinnati. We can do a whole Cincinnati discussion after this, because I certainly have questions for you guys on your views about Cincinnati from an outside perspective. But New York Red Bulls, 3 in a row now. They're winning at home. They're winning on the road. We've historically, right, I think we've conceptualized that Red Bulls are always a better road team for whatever reason. They just seem to do better on the road than at home, maybe because the pressures of playing at home and how teams approach playing away forces Red Bulls to play a different style that they're not maybe set up for. But now they're winning at home. They're winning pretty convincingly as well. I mean, what's our status, and from a stock standpoint on Red Bulls? Because I had them as a stock falling, if you go back to even 2 weeks ago, right? Because they went on a pretty bad run. And then now all of a sudden they're on the up and up. Are they an inconsistent team? Are they figuring things out? Help me make some sense of what I'm seeing.
They played Charlotte, who can't seem to find their way out of a paper bag at the moment. And they played the mighty, mighty Atlanta United. So
also Cincinnati Slayers.
That's right. I want to see it against someone who can actually play some good soccer.
What's crazy, Beau, is you're not going to see that until the end of June, because they play against Austin and they play against Toronto next.
I think Austin will give them a bigger fight than you think. Not that Austin will figure out how to score goals, but they're just going to be much more defensively sound than the prior two. That's the one thing. I'm not an Estevez guy, right? But his teams play. They are defensively sound. They are structured to that, and that is not something you could say about. Definitely not about Atlanta, and Charlotte at the moment just forgot what defense is.
Yeah, they forgot ball don't go in back of our net. Ball go in back of other team net. Gavin, by the way, just to let you know, you are muted right now. I wanted you to really be aware before you started talking.
Thank you. I was looking for the mute button.
The Red Bulls had a 0.83 expected goals, and Atlanta actually had a higher XG. So this is not a Red Bulls went out and just kicked some butt and took names, and it's turning a corner. According to stats, they should have lost this game.
But that's also Red Bulls a lot of the time, right?
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to reserve judgment until it's against some more informed teams, kind of like what you're saying, Beau. I do think that they've kind of, ever since the loss against NYCFC in before this run of 3 wins in a row. They lost 2-0 to NYCFC. They I don't know, they feel like they've kind of gone back to their identity, really, of like, okay, let's kind of be structured defensively and then see what we can do in attack on transition. Um, and, for a little minute there, it felt like they were trying to, be a more attacking team and trying to keep possession. And obviously, we know that doesn't work for them. And I think just their identity right now is working for them at the moment with the teams they're facing. But yeah, they're an inconsistent team, so they're going to be up and down this season. And right now, it just feels like they're in an up period. Cameron Harper's scoring a lot of goals. They're getting goals from Sofo. These guys who I don't think they are consistent goal scoring threats across an entire season. They're just going to pop up here and there with goals. And right now, they're just getting those goals.
All right.
That's my feeling.
I appreciate your reserved, tempered take.
You could say that the Red Bulls are as consistent as Pedro Gallese against Chicago.
Yeah. You could say that.
I mean, I won't, because that wouldn't be nice, but, you could say it.
Yeah, I mean, no one's stopping you from saying it.
Is that our next game?
So Gavin, because you missed the first hour, we've just kind of been dancing around talking about, matches of interest because we had Wednesday and Saturday and two Sunday matches. So if there's a match that's of interest to you, Gavin, you can feel free to throw it out. And we might tell you we've already talked about it, but we'll hear your thoughts as well.
Match of interest from the last two match days?
Yeah. Chicago-Orlando was definitely a match of interest, but we haven't touched on it out of respect for your period of mourning. So,
it was definitely of interest.
Yeah.
But it is of interest.
I'll just say this. If all 11 players on Chicago play the way they played against Orlando City, Chicago are favorites for MLS Cup. They looked amazing.
Beau feels so vindicated right now, Gavin. I wish you were here like 30 minutes sooner so you could have heard Beau waxing lyrical. We were doing Coach Tiermaker, and he had the hottest, spiciest take.
There's no way you put Greg Berhalter at the top. There's no way.
I said that he's in A tier, but by next year he will be an S tier coach.
Okay. No, yeah, and we knew Greg would succeed, but like, holy crap. They were playing it out of the back so easily against us. Our press was not working. Every time we'd press them into a corner, they were just so composed. They, in against every other team in the league, what happens in that scenario where you're in the corner and you've got 3 guys chomping at the bits to go get the ball? They clear the ball and you get the ball back and you create a wave of attack. And Chicago's midfielders were just moving perfectly in sync, in rhythm. It was just it looked so simple, so coached, and they were just consistently beating our press. They would get through our press and then we'd have to run all the way back. And they were doing it the whole first half. Obviously, the goal going in, the Gallese error doesn't help, and I think that just stunned the team. Really, the second goal, though, whereas like we were getting outplayed and the second goal went in and the team, that was a real dagger, and they just stopped playing and they scored. Like after the second one went in, you could just see it on the players. Like they were just like, we are so far behind this team right now. We're not winning this game. And then like, it just like took a moment to like get to the reality of the situation, and we were 3-0 down. Like they just played through us like hot knife through butter again. So yeah, this one is all about Chicago. They were fantastic in this game. And then in the second half, we pushed to try and get, some goals back, and Brady made a couple of really good saves. He's been fantastic this season. And so, yeah, if all 11 players, goalkeeper, midfielders, defenders, attackers play like that, they are one of the favorites for MLS Cup because they played perfect. They played perfect.
I will say that in Orlando's defense, Atuesta looked incredible. had one of his best games of the year, and Robin Janssen actually looked like old Robin Janssen of a couple of years ago, like where he was actually reading balls ahead of time and reacting quick enough. Where I've been wondering the last year or so, maybe he's lost a step, and maybe he has. But this game, that was the two bright spots on that, where Atuesta and Janssen did look like they had improved, or were two of the better players on the field at least.
Yeah, I agree with both of that. Atuesta has been great this year. Janssen, he is, I think, back to his best this season. Last season was a bit of a down season, so far so good from both of them. Yeah. Galese, different story. Did you guys already talk about Miami thumping Columbus 5-1?
No, we haven't. I'll be honest, like it's such a weird result because I almost feel like Miami got so far ahead and just looked so much better so quickly that it's like, do you think the players even stayed invested that full match?
I don't think people realize how lucky Miami was in that game. When you start looking at XG and all that, like they had a 1.93 XG. Like they outperformed by 3.5 goals. And look, they got it done. But let's not forget, like this was not a Columbus side. They didn't have Morera. I think it was Arfston that went off hurt, or was it Shimbo? Who was it? Me pull up my notes here. I can't remember. One of them went off, but they've got a lot of injuries.
It was a Munson.
They had several injuries, and then for some reason Mo Farsi was just awful. Like I think there were 3 goals that he literally kept the Miami people on side for. Like I think it was at least 2. For sure 2. I think it was 3, but it was for sure 2. And it was just like injured team, rotated team. Really,
performances.
Yeah, I mean, having it. Golly, the goal was it Hagen? Is that the goalkeeper Hagen, the backup who literally just like straight up passed it to Messi? Like that was just. Hey, you know what? He can at least say though. That's one thing that. So
I assisted Messi on a goal.
I was gonna say if people give. So there was a Marco Farfan years ago scored an own goal in Champions Cup off of a Messi corner. So his teammates still give him crap that he got an assist for Messi on the goal. He just wanted to score a goal off Messi so bad that he did it. But yeah, so he can officially say that he has a Messi assist. So good on him, man. Not a lot of people can say that.
I don't know if all people want to be able to say that is the problem.
Yeah, Columbus had 12 shots, only 1 on target. I mean, for as bad of a defense, look, and I know it's heavily rotated this and that, but as bad as Miami defense this is, and especially their goalkeeper. Look, Drake Callender is the best goalkeeper on that team. What's the guy's name? Ustari. Yeah, I was like, it's not Rudy. Ustari is playing because he's Messi's friend. Like that's it. Like it's silly, but
the Drake Callender I think is also done for the season though after surgery.
Was he really? I didn't. Now that is new news for me.
Because
he was playing a couple matches, I think.
Yeah, and then I remember Miami announced, didn't they just sign another goalkeeper? And I thought it was to replace Callender, who had a surgery.
Yeah, they brought in Rocco Rios Novo, the former.
I mean, it said May 9th was a hernia surgery, but that is interesting. Yeah, that was not something I had heard.
Columbus are in a bad moment right now. They're kind of going a little bit under the radar, I feel like, but I think they are winless in their last 6 games.
Yep.
Ties against some okay teams, ties against some good teams, and then a couple of losses in there. I mean, are we worried at all, or is this
the injury bug has hurt them a lot? Losing Steven Morera is huge. I mean, he kind of is their offense.
Morera started this game, unless he got injured in this game.
He started this. Okay, he started this
against Columbus. I mean, he may have, he
did, but he did not. I was like, he does not look like himself again yet, for sure. Like
okay. He's playing through injury.
Look, my go-to excuse right now on Columbus is they very clearly are missing what Cucho brought to them. There are multiple draws that they've had that they win if they had a striker that could finish some of the chances that they had.
I think Gozdog's been a miss so far.
I don't think Gazdag is been a miss so much as it is they brought in a player who just gives them more of what they already had, and they still don't have a striker to finish the chances that they were creating. Like,
Yeah, if you give them a
I don't.
striker and have Gazdag and Rossi like that, that's a. I mean, could you imagine if you had Gazdag underneath Cucho? That's a nasty little
Yeah, like
trio.
it would be an incredible setup. But again, they're building a roof before they have the walls on this one, or they're trying to furnish a house with with some champagne, and they're putting it onto like a cork board, you know like serving tray. It doesn't match what they have.
Right. But I Gosdog just I don't know that he fits in this system for what Gosdog needs to succeed. It's like now he's become just another system player. He's not producing at all for them. He hasn't scored. He hasn't gotten a real assist. He may have gotten an MLS assist, but not a real assist. And his performances, just from what I've seen through multiple games, haven't really been that impactful. He's just kind of been out there. Yeah, of course he's, created some chances, he's created some danger, but like for me right now, this transfer has not moved them forward the way they probably thought he would. So I think right now it's a bit of a concern for Columbus with that Gazdag move.
What do you guys? Sorry, just kind of had a random thought, and this may be stupid, so please, I know you will tell me that, but also just tell us it's okay if they tell. I think Jesus Ferreira, maybe. What if Columbus had gone for them? Because it seems like Jesus Ferreira kind of plays that 9.5 role, that like 9 tweener 10 that Cucho did, where he could kind of drop in and link up with Rossi. Now, he obviously couldn't
No.
finish like Cucho did, but
Yeah, that's I don't like I don't think Columbus even needs someone who can like do the drop in link up if you have Rossi and Gazdag. Like, they need a player who can put the chances that they are creating into the back of the net, and they don't have
so
that person.
not
And
Brandon
Ferreira
Vasquez.
yeah, Vasquez, like, unless every single one of those is going to be a cross,
I don't even lately,
like,
man. That hasn't helped him.
yeah, I don't I just I don't see Ferreira as filling that either. Like, maybe if they didn't have Gazdag and they needed someone who could do, drop in play, but with the players you have, I don't think they need that. They just need someone who can put ball into the back of the net.
Because they've gone out and they've got guys like Ibrahim Aliou. Uh, I guess I don't know. Jason Russell Rowe isn't that guy.
No, none of them are. They're not like they. I guess like Jason Russell Rowe can score, but he is not. He is not Cucho.
He's been
Cucho
trying his
is,
hardest this season,
yeah.
Russell Rowe.
Cucho was like a unicorn player in this league, one of the best strikers that was in MLS.
Mhm.
But yeah, like, they need to find someone who can produce finishing. That's not anyone on Columbus right now.
Well, let's figure out. Let's just say we have to solve this within MLS. Not that it's going to. Duncan McGuire.
Right.
Does Duncan McGuire fill that?
Yes.
Logan Farrington.
No.
I'm just trying to figure out who can they, because Willie Agata's off the board, and I don't think he fit their system anyway.
Mhm.
But I'm just trying to figure out if they go out and then they realize
We're talking gettable guys, right?
yes,
Yeah, like, you can't say like Kevin Denke because like he's not
right.
leaving
No, look,
Cincinnati.
Denke
Although, like,
would be perfect. Like
Right.
he's
Yeah,
exactly what they need. But
yeah, any top tier incredible striker. What if they signed Olivier Giroud?
I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility if they went in for an
He would be
offer.
he would be better on the Crew than he is on LAFC.
Now he
I'll say
ain't leaving
that.
LA. He's not leaving.
Yeah,
LA.
he's not.
I mean, if he got to play, I don't know. He might be.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Gosh,
Christian
Olivier
Ramirez
Giroud
isn't doing much in the Galaxy.
No, he's not. He's been a dud for them so
No.
far. There's not really a lot of movable strikers within the league, to be fair. So I guess Giroud it is.
I mean, no, but really, on a serious note, like Christian Ramirez isn't playing. and there's no injury reported. He just isn't playing. So you're telling me that if Columbus comes and goes, "Hey, man, we'll take him back,"
Come
and
back. Yeah.
or hey, we'll trade you a Jason Russell Rowe, or I mean, because Ibrahim Aliyu,
but Ramirez isn't a striker that is like a clinical finishing striker. Like,
right?
The
But
only
it
other
worked. It already worked there.
one that I'm thinking of is one of the Portland forwards,
Mm.
Jonathan Rodriguez or Felipe Mora.
no,
I think
Mora's
that
not leaving. He's
yeah, I
he's
think
the
that
nailed on written in pen guy.
I think
Well,
that
no,
they're with
both
them
him
being
and
in
Kelsey.
fifth, they probably have delusions that they're going to be chasing a home playoff game.
I think it would be Jonathan Rodriguez out of the three, that because he's playing the least.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure.
But that's just because of injury,
amazing.
though. But yeah,
Injury and competition within the position.
Yeah, but I mean, Mora seems to be the favored. Like, he's starting and then Kelsey's going in is like, the 30 to 45-minute guy, and it's like there's a great partnership between those two right now. And
Yeah.
every interview with Phil Neville seems to indicate that those two players are super bought in on what he's asking from them right now.
Yeah. I've definitely heard that as well from him. But you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
You got three, pretty good strikers in one team. Same thing with Orlando. Muriel's been playing well this season, and then you got Ramiro Enrique and Duncan McGuire. Three players who have all been starters for Orlando City at one point or another for like long stretches of time because they've been scoring goals and playing well. So yeah, same thing with Portland with those three strikers. So you never know. You could test the waters with a trade, see what happens.
I think LAFC has to be a realistic target because when you look like David Martinez, Olivier Giroud, Jeremy Abobasi,
Ortaz.
I was going to say it's not Nathan Ortaz. They've got four guys who can play that position, and
they're not getting rid of Ortaz though. I think that's your future
sure.
right there.
Same
with
Martinez.
But I mean,
yeah,
and with Martinez, I mean, this was a guy that every big club in Europe was trying to get. So that's just they have a massive sell-on fee. So it's like Abobasi?
Abobasi wouldn't be bad.
I mean, I just don't know if it works because Abobasi got a pretty hefty deal out of it, and a multi-year deal as well.
I still think, like, if you're going at LAFC, my only concern... Actually, we talked about how you need someone in Cucho who, like, is that drop-in, link-up play guy, and Giroud did frequently drop in to provide link-up play. I mean...
I think Giroud is actually a sneaky good shout for Columbus because they would create the types of chances that he would feast off of.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Low crosses for headers, little nifty through balls where he can just take a one-touch shot. Like, he would do well in Columbus, I believe, versus what he's doing in LAFC.
As an Arsenal guy, I would love to see him do well in MLS. As a Cincinnati guy, I would hate to see him do well for Columbus.
And the one thing, too, is, Wilfred Nancy, his whole system is based off of, one thing he always says, it's not about speed because he was not a fast player. So it was just like being bold, being comfortable on the ball and going at it. And it's like Giroud's not a fast guy, and the system is not built around that. I think Giroud
French
is
connection.
A perfect shout.
It is.
I think, someone make it happen. Someone tweet it out at Isatal and say, "Hey, go sign Giroud from LAFC." But
Giroud
here's
is like, this
follow-up
Columbus,
statement.
where is this?
Would Giroud make that change after Club World Cup?
I don't think he would make the change. I mean, he's just to the point in his career where it's about lifestyle and being able to have comfort in living, and this, where that LA offers a certain lifestyle benefits that he hasn't got to experience. Again, I legitimately think, if I had to bet money, that Olivier Giroud is probably mutual termination around June, July, and he goes and plays in France somewhere for the last year or two of his career. That's what I think. Now, I think that if I was I actually, could tell him, I'd be like, dude, you would kick some serious butt in Columbus. Like, you might be able to actually win something here before you go back.
What if Nancy just picks up the phone, calls him? Because, like, I bet Nancy would have a way of contacting him.
And serenades him in French.
Yeah.
I was going to say, could you guys give us, like, and if you speak enough French to be like, oui,
no.
Okay, we need it.
Beau, for the record, that video I sent you of a French person in Texas, the guy did another one of a French person visiting Ohio, and
That guy's so
I'm just
annoying.
imagining Olivier Giroud. I'm like, he would probably think so many of these things.
That
And
is a guy who is clearly like he has never been to Texas. Like it is abundantly clear. It was so dumb. It was
maybe,
just
I don't know.
no. I know.
Seemed
Believe
accurate
me.
to
Believe
me.
me. I'm here. I know.
Hey, the only other team I wanna highlight, um, I'll move us on. New England Revolution. Did you guys talk about them?
We alluded to talking about the fact that they've been doing better. We haven't done any deep dive on them at all.
Much better.
Yeah,
I mean, not much better because they've been doing it for over half the season at this point.
9 matches right
They,
now.
yeah, they are. You just said it. 9 matches without losing. So like they've figured something out, right? Like their defense has been somewhat better, but offensively they're scoring goals. They are overwhelming teams with just raw numbers. And I think Porter has figured it out. I think he's figured it out. They'll probably finish in a playoff spot this season. And God forbid they go on a run. And Caleb Porter gets another MLS Cup. Oh my gosh.
They're not going to get another MLS Cup. There's
He
way
has
too
he
many.
has what, two or three to his name?
He's not getting one in New England. Like they're the East, because Bo and I talked about this. The East is an absolute like
Oh, it is a
it's
slaughterfest.
yeah, it is an absolute buzzsaw. Like
Yeah.
there are so many teams that
It's gonna be the team that just like survives really.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
like
shout out to
you may
Peyton
be
Miller
right.
for
They
getting his
might
first goal
make it.
this weekend.
Yes.
That's huge. Like he will probably be getting U.S. men's national team call ups here, like to big boy camp in the very not so distant future. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think
he
so much of their success is going to five at the back and going with two wing backs and being able to free up and Carlos Hill also just playing like an MVP again. I mean, we can't discount that at all.
yeah. I was gonna say if you look at just their team stats across like the team as a whole, it's so obvious where their success is coming from. And
Yeah.
it's like you have players who are getting involved, like they have 9 people who have scored a goal, but it's like Carlos Hill is the only person who is like consistently scoring goals, producing, being dangerous. It's incredible. And he's not even like and I'm not even gonna say like he's being prolific like in a creating, his own goals stance, because again, he's overperforming his own numbers for what you would expect him to score. It's just I don't know. I think this 9 in a row unbeaten is I'm not gonna say it's a misnomer because they played well, but I don't think it's fully sustainable. Like I think this was like their run for the season. I think they're gonna regress back down to the mean.
Okay. Very well could be. Yeah, it could be the case. I mean, Carlos Hill, yeah, you're right. He's running hot, doing well. Uh, come the next phase of the season, May was a busy month, and it's only going to get busier in June, July, August timeframe. So yeah, next 3 months it's going to be interesting to see how they do, especially with their star man who might start to get a little bit more tired and teams really hone in on him and he might fade.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And let's also
I
look
was
at who they played. They beat Atlanta. They beat New York City. They beat Charlotte, but this was the beginning of kind of Charlotte's
That was the
tumble
first
fest.
game of their bad run.
Yeah. Then they beat Toronto. They beat. They tied Sporting Kansas City, tied San Jose, tied DC United, and they beat Montreal. Not exactly a killer's row of
Yeah,
teams there. So,
it's fair.
I mean, now coming up, now you tell me in, let's say, by July, all of a sudden they get results against Cincinnati, Nashville, Colorado, Portland, and Miami, then yes, like, okay, this is for real. But it's been kind of Charmin soft the last month and a half.
Yeah, and let's not forget as well, you can't even be like, oh, New England are such like an obvious team like to usurp NYCFC for like that 9th spot because you have Chicago right behind them. Chicago are going to push multiple teams down.
And the Cincy Slayers of DC United right behind them.
Yeah, I don't know if I think Chicago is maybe the only other threat. Like the 12 to 15 range is probably firmly cemented in the 12 to 15 range. I don't even know if I would call Chicago a threat. I would just call them an inevitability at this point. Like they're going to push somebody out. The question is who, and I think NYCFC probably looks the most ripe for it right now.
One thing, I think this is just something that I don't know if this just, but right now the Supporter Shield winners are the Philadelphia Union. Like that's kind of crazy to say when you think about where this team was last year and firing Jim Curtin. And look, I mean, I think most of us were like, what the heck are they doing? And now they are the halfway mark of the season. They are leading the Supporter Shield race. That's pretty incredible. That's just I know they've been at or near the top, but it's a little bonkers.
Yeah, and they look like they're going to sustain it. Because I mean, if you look at Carnell with St. Louis, right? They went on super hot streak and then kind of started to, drop back down to earth and, wins and losses, short runs and, some sprees in there, like, riding a little bit of a wave, still doing well, but not staying red hot. They're halfway through the season and they're sitting on 2 points per game.
Yeah, every
That's
game
a
they go
good
into,
pace.
they are like the favorites. It's like, oh, you would kind of expect Philadelphia to win this game. I was surprised they didn't get the win at the weekend, to be honest. Bo, I know you were at the game.
Yeah, I say one thing that I do want to bring up though is a cause for concern. Is I think that this team is a little too reliant on Mikel Ura. When you look at, so they have four strikers really. They have Ura, they have Baribo, they have Damiani, and then Donovan. Anytime Baribo, Damiani, Donovan are on there, they don't score goals. Anytime Ura is on there with Damiani or Baribo, they are scoring goals. It is Ura's on there, and it's like, and Baribo, Damiani, and Donovan, they're kind of the same guy. They don't have Ura's the guy who stretches the field, it can link up and everything. I think that if Ura goes down for any amount of time, this team's in some trouble because that was the one thing. Look, I mean, Philly was really unlucky not to get the result. I mean, really, Dallas literally at one point there were 10 men in the box and they were just giving the ball and they were like, do it. And they couldn't do it. I mean, Dallas was extremely disciplined and all, and I know we weren't going to talk about, but
that's what Orlando did too against them.
Yeah,
they were just 0-0.
They were very, very disciplined and broke them down. And honestly, I think you play that again, Philly absolutely walks out with 3 points. But I think that's the one cause for concern I have is that Ura is because they went from, man, the game was really wide open and stuff, and then Ura went down with an injury before the red card, and they brought in Damiani to replace him, and that dynamicness which they played with going forward was lessened. So that is one thing I would say for Philly fans is be praying for Ura every night in his hamstrings and everything else to make it through the year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think they hit on their midfield transition this offseason with not Jovic, Lukic and Stanley Jean-Jacques. And then Makanya has been fantastic replacement for Elliott as well at the back. And I think just really good scouting from them. And the rest of the team has kind of just fit really well with Carnell's ideology. So yeah, it's been, a perfect start to the season. They got momentum early, and that's kind of, I think, carrying them now into this next phase. So we'll see how they do. But yeah, top of the Supporter Shield. Obviously, 2 games in hand over Vancouver at the moment, but they've got the points on the board. So I think it's going to be a good, fun race for the Supporter Shield this season.
And remember, the other thing to remember too, Makanya's not even one of their starters. Glavinovic is their other starter, and he looked incredible before he went down. I think it was a knee injury. But yeah, like Makanya's the third center back, which is
Is he
I mean,
really?
yes, yeah, Golovinovic
Wow.
is like a stud, and they were playing Nathan Harriel there this weekend. So the Ernst Tanner has done a very good job of actually building some depth there, bringing guys in. I talked with Ben Bender a little bit about like kind of the trials stuff coming in. They're doing a good job of getting depth. I mean, like look, Ben Bender, if you're relying on him to give you meaningful minutes to win games, you're not doing well. But for a guy who can come in and spot start and give you minutes occasionally, that's an amazing guy to come off of the bench. I mean, with his size and stuff. So yeah, I mean, really a huge shout out to Ernst Tanner because he has really done a good job with this team for sure.
Hey, I want to throw a different question your guys' way. Do either of you have concerns about Cincinnati right now? They're winless in 4. They were just slayed by the mighty DC United, renowned Cincinnati Slayers. Also lost to Atlanta, renowned Cincinnati Slayers. They got a 3-3 draw against Dallas. Beau, I'm sure you watched it midweek. Blew a 2-goal lead.
Funny, I told my wife
yeah.
right when they scored the second goal. I told my wife, I was like, if they don't bring Miazga in, this is going to end 3-3. And then sure enough, header in the box, 3-3.
Yeah. They they're showing a lot of cracks right now as a team.
I am concerned because of this. This weekend, DC United went in and they had one plan, and that was we're going to smother Pavel Buka. And he's not going to be the one who's going to get to transition the ball. You're going to have to make someone else do it. And they had no answer for it.
Yeah.
So
Cincinnati does not have a midfield.
No. I mean, Obina Wobodo was good a couple of years ago, but they cannot transition the ball through midfield. Like they just can't. And I don't know what they do. I mean, really, I'm sitting here looking.
That's where I was going. I think you guys lost a lot of creativity with Acosta leaving. And Evander can be creative. Obviously, he gets an assist against DC, but like I don't know, it was just a little different with Acosta. More touches from Acosta, more like you said, Beau, getting from midfield to attacking third, and I think that's where you guys are struggling now. Okay, first world problems. You guys are still top 5 in the Supporter Shield rankings. Like you're towards the top end of the East. But yeah, there are definitely some concerns. Like you said, winless in 4, losing against some teams you'd expect to beat. If you did beat those teams that you guys should be better than, you would probably be looking pretty healthy in the Supporter Shield race right now.
Yeah.
So I get that it's super frustrating, but I still think this is a home playoff team at the moment. Quality
Gavin,
team.
Here, just point of consideration. We're 4 points behind Philadelphia for the Supporter Shield. We are only 3 points ahead of Orlando, who's sit in 7th place.
Yeah, the East.
The East is
gonna be very close.
Yeah. Like sitting in second, I don't think is any indication of a home playoff spot right
Fair. Now. Yeah, fair. That's fair. A lot could happen throughout the rest of the season. Of the season.
Because I think to your point and to Beau's point, I don't know what the answer is, because who for Cincinnati is the other option? Like, is Luca Orishano, who the idea to play Luca Orishano forward as an attacking player did not yield much. Luca Orishano does not provide any sort of link up or creativity. Like his amazing stint for the club was as a wingback, because wingbacks are an incredibly overpowered position, wingbacks, fullbacks within this league, because a lot of teams don't have good ones, and he was good at going forward as one. But that was also when you had Lucho, right? And you had a more powerful midfield with a little bit more, respect having to be given to it. Now Orishano's not playing that wingback spot. Where the answer is coming from for Cincinnati. Because yeah, I mean, Anunga is not your progressive passer. He's not splitting lines. Widow, he's a destroyer. He's made a few good progressive line splitting passes. That's not his thing. It's not his wheelhouse. Miazga and Robinson, they can make some good switches. Lucas Angle can make a great cross field switch, but that's not what you're relying on Lucas Angle to provide. How do you? Because Beau, when I was watching Cincinnati recently, your horseshoe of death was something that I kept thinking of watching the patterns of play, because right now that's their option. They pass it up the wings. They have no way to move it in because they have no midfield. Pass it back to Miazga, to Robinson, to Hideki.
Yeah, one of the things I found really interesting was looking at some of the stuff was that DC United was consistently setting traps to where the majority of the passes, like from this, I guess this setup or whatever, was from Miles Robinson to Anunga. They were, I mean, Paul Velbuca was having to pretty much just about come into Miles Robinson's lap to come and get the ball. But yeah, the majority of passes were uh, was Miazga to, Miazga to Robinson, and then the second one was Miles to Anunga, and Anunga is coming way over to the right side to come and get the ball because again, they're just like, if Buka's going to get the ball, like, I mean, he's very close. And then when you look at the gap between the attacking midfielders and then your center mids is massive. Like they're literally, DC United did such a good job of isolating the midfielders and that. So again, with that, with Cincinnati, Valenzuela and Evander, like they, neither one of them was coming back for the ball. Like they were very much of just like, which I don't know, is that coached in them? Is that, no, we want to stay up because, hey, maybe we are down. We need to be able to get up for ball space and behind. I don't know. But, there's pretty clearly a plan of attack on the Cincinnati team. And that is, don't let Pavel Buka have the ball and make it to where anyone else has to get it forward into the attack. Because it's a great attack. But
If it doesn't have the ball, it can't do anything.
If you can't get it,
And
yeah. If you're,
yeah,
it's very.
and I think word's out. I think word's out on this team, and it's not hard to smother one player.
No, it's not. It feels like it's time for a system change. You guys have been running this system for quite a while at this point, and it would be cool if you guys, went to like a four at the back, switch things up, got an extra midfielder in there. I think something like that might be helpful just to have a new look for teams. But
who's going to be the extra midfielder, Gavin?
Hold on, no, well, hold on. This is entirely plausible. One thing that Cincinnati has great depth in is your forwards and your defenders. Your midfield depth is poo-poo. Okay, that does not favor a team playing like in May, all these games in May. That is not what, like, the final push towards season, and that this is kind of that one-off period in which it's hot and heavy games to where your midfield depth is just you're rotating guys who shouldn't be playing, or they're just straight up gas because there's no one to rotate. So there's a very good chance that May is just this was the big bump in the season because of all the games close together and the lack of quality depth in midfield. It is a possibility.
It's a possibility. I'm gonna hold on to that idea, Beau, but I suspect it's gonna be very challenging, I think, to go forward because, to your point, like, yeah, hot and heavy, but we have no depth. Like, there's not going to be any rotation throughout the season because Leagues Cup is going to happen, and then after Leagues Cup, then you have the run in towards the end of the year, and there's still no rotation that's going to be able to happen.
No, but we're going to move back to one game a week here for a little bit. So, yeah, I think it's a good point, Beau. But also, if you're doing one game a week and you're still struggling because teams have figured it out, then yeah, it's a problem.
I mean, being able to plug, like, I'm not saying he's the best, but Yaya Kubo can come back and do a job in there. That's a guy that, honestly, they probably relied on. He doesn't, I mean, yeah, he gets in occasionally, but, that's a guy that is not having that super versatile guy in that hot and heavy time period is going to hurt any team. And Cincinnati even more so just because of how thin they are there.
Yeah, we can talk behind the scenes on what's going on with Kubo.
I want an honest question for you guys. I look at this New York City team, NYCFC, and I'm wondering, is there just a lack of talent there? I mean, Keaton Parks is by far the best player on this team, and it's not even close. Is there just a general, like, who else on this NYCFC team? Like, let's say that, like, hey, boom, all of a sudden NYCFC, like, they fold overnight, all their players, they have to get, shipped off to different teams. Keaton Parks is going number one, without Who else on this team is even worth having or getting?
Okay, Alonso Martinez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and that was kind of that was kind of what I figured. But after that,
Yeah. Hannes Wolf as like a rotation option, maybe.
I mean, he'd be great in Cincy right now.
Yeah, yeah. He had a good. He scored both goals, right? Against.
I know he got one for sure. He may have gotten both.
The
Or
comeback.
was that an own goal?
Was it an own goal? He got credited with both goals.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So Hans Wolf. I wouldn't take Fernandez. I wouldn't take Ojeda.
I wouldn't take Martins.
No,
Okay.
at the back.
We should say we're not including Matt Freese as well, because Matt Freese is incredibly good. But
Yeah, that's fair.
Matt Freese would get snapped up in a New York second.
oh, I see what you did there, and I loved it.
Right, Tavon Gray as a rotation option, maybe. Okay, Jonathan Shore's been, he's young, so you would take him and hope that he grows into a really good player.
But you're not starting him, though, right?
No,
like
no. They are starting him, but
right.
I wouldn't start him because he's just like good.
He's too raw. Yeah.
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 He's like 17.
I'm looking at this team and I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, the guy who, I think that I was really high on Malachi Jones before his incredible leg break last year. Loved him. But like looking at this team now, I don't know who, like if you take the shit these guys to other teams, who's going to start on most of the teams for other guys?
Not many.
Not many.
Okay.
I don't think Akrar gets a contract anywhere else.
No, absolutely not.
I've just now pulled up the roster. I'm looking across it, and I think
I was waiting for someone to remember that he existed.
I totally forgot until I looked at the roster.
I mean, it's just, Maxi Morales, but like would be like a Kai Kamara role.
He would
like,
retire.
We'll give you 10 minutes.
He would retire.
Right.
Yeah. He would be like, oh, the team folded. Okay. Back into retirement.
All right. So, okay. That was because they've got some, high upside guys and like Drew Baera, but he's young and I don't know if he's even played any minutes at all this year. But like Justin Hack
could be a bench guy.
Ojeda, Ilinich, O'Toole.
I think your point has kind of been demonstrated, though, Beau, in that a lot of the guys for NYCFC probably don't meaningfully improve most teams if they were to be shifted to someone else in the league, other than teams that are lacking depth right now in certain areas, and that's an issue.
Yeah. I think that the only ones that any team would trade for is probably Freese and Keaton Parks are the two that any team in a second would.
I think someone would take Martinez. It would need to be a certain team.
True. But yes, I would say because that's the thing. Because I don't know if one thing I found interesting when you talk about Martinez.
Boy, Columbus Crew sure could use Alonso Martinez right now.
Well, but here's the thing: he has an expected goals of almost 13, and he has 8. So he
misses a lot of chances.
He misses a ton of chances.
A lot of chances.
But so it's just one of those he scores goals and stuff, but literally he would have 50% more if he could finish at just an average rate.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong. Yeah, it's not the most enviable roster in the league, that's for sure. Probably won't finish in a playoff spot, or they would sneak in at like 9th after.
And see, but that's the thing I'm looking like. I would take New England, Chicago, Atlanta. Those guys are all beneath them. They've all got guys. That's just a much more talented teams.
Yeah. Chicago, like I said, Chicago will push someone out, and NYCFC is the first on that chopping block.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But man, I'm telling you what, there's some good teams in the East will not make the playoffs this year, and there are some teams in the West that are going to be like holding the nose to watch them play. That will be
first round of the playoffs in the East and the first round of the playoffs in the West going to be vastly different.
I guess it will be.
Oh my gosh, the pro rel truthers are going to be out in full force, being like, this is why you need promotion relegation because these West Conference teams, it's not happening in MLS. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Everyone's got it wrong. We should have 3 leagues. We should have a 3-tier system. 10 teams in each league. instead of 15 and 15, and then do pro rel
like a
that.
west, like a west central east.
No, not by region. Pro rel. It's just 3 instead of 2. That's what will make it succeed.
Wait,
You know, in 2027,
no,
after the World Cup, whoever finishes
don't
bottom
know.
10 of the Supporter Shield, they're in the C League, and then the middle
can
teams
still
are in the
do
B
that.
League, and then you have the A League. Then you're all good.
But
Just Gavin, are you saying that you want to watch like the same match happen 4 times in a year?
True. Yeah, that would
And
that
you
would
know
kind
what?
of be
Hey,
against the worst of the worst teams.
But I think that the thing is that
That'd be brutal.
why it just
could
is
you
hard.
imagine Toronto and Montreal playing 4 times a year?
I just
That'd
think
be
that
brutal.
the thing that makes it really difficult at pro rel in the US, it's that like you have to understand that like England can fit in Texas 3 times. Like pro rel, like travel is not a huge thing in these other countries. Having to travel, I mean, there's a reason why they have it east west. Like New York and LA having to play all the time, that would kill players. I mean, literally, it would be like Seattle, Los Angeles, Miami's. I mean, it would just be nonstop insane travel, and no player would want to play here. So, not having pro rel
Yeah.
is actually probably a good thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, your catch-all to that would be as if like otherwise you just divide MLS into 2 completely different geographic entities, 2 completely different geographic leagues, and
That's not gonna
say
happen.
only East Coast teams get to play East Coast teams. And then you could take every single team on the East Coast and organize that into a pyramid. But a lot of the value that exists in MLS is because teams like take your pick, right? Like a team like Cincinnati, which is like a middle media market, exists in the same league as a team like NYCFC and New York Red Bulls, which are huge major media markets, and also Miami and also LA, and then LA a second time, and then LA a third time.
Yeah. No, I think you're both right. Pro rel isn't going to happen
You know,
anytime soon, if ever, for MLS.
look, I would watch it. I would
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see me complaining about it. Like I think it would be an absolute blast.
There'd have to be
It's not
guarantees
happening.
that people
Yeah.
are going to watch that second division league as much as people watch the first division.
Honestly, I
compared
don't think
to how people watch MLS today, or
I don't think you
whenever
even
they make
need.
the decision.
I need clarification. Actually, when you say watch the second division, do you mean attend matches or watch on TV? Because I think watching
Both.
on TV is irrelevant.
Both. I think
Okay.
attendance numbers would go down because like the fair weather fans won't, you know, times aren't
Right.
good, but that already happens today, to be fair. But
Yeah.
the fair weather fans even more so, you know, we're in the second division, so now we're definitely bad, whereas in this one you're in the top division, so you have a chance of being good. But anyways,
I think
I don't think a fair weather fan cares about division. I don't think their team being in MLS matters.
so. 2 things. First
Fair.
of all, with the pro rel is like you would definitely have to get rid of all these stupid roster rules because the thing that like LA Galaxy are punished for winning last year because of all the bonuses that kick in, and thus their roster suffers. Like, okay, that sucks, but then whatever. But the other thing, the only reason why I do want this to happen, could you imagine being in the room with Joey Saputo, the Montreal Impact owner, when he finds out that pro rel then becomes a thing, and then the panic sets in of that he is going down straight, like year after year. Just he's either going to have to spend and get someone who actually knows what they're doing, not him calling the shots. Like I want to be in that room, and I by that point I hope that we can like hear people's thoughts in their heads too, because I just want to know everything that's going on in there. It would just be awesome.
Yeah, that again, I'm not out here gonna say like don't make it happen. I'll watch it. I'll go to matches. I'll be just as invested then as I am now. But I just from like an ownership standpoint, what's their incentive? There isn't any. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Aren't you trying to make fetch happen by saying that thing? Yeah.
Catching on. You're pretty observant, Beau.
Not getting past me at whatever time of night it is here.
10:19 for you.
Well, anything else, lads?
No. Gavin got to enjoy a nice short recording. his dream, his ideal length of recording. Beau, you and I got to talk about Gavin, who will hear all the things that we said about him, both true and false, but mainly true when the episode comes out.
Are you sure we weren't on mute for those?
I'll go back. I'll listen for it.
Shame on me.
You know, the thing is, Beau, is you can't keep the truth silent. So the only things that he'll hear are
I deserve
all right.
it.
Well, hey, just a quick reminder then for everyone who has stuck with us through the entirety of this episode, this meandering long episode where there were honestly too many matches to even attempt to even talk about. So thank you as always to everyone who has stuck through. Just a reminder, you can find Gavin on social media at LionsBlog1. If you want to reach out to him, you probably have just as good of a chance of getting a hold of him as I do via phone call, which is roughly 10% chance. You can find Beau on social media at MLS Gamut. You can find me on social media at Mr. Danger Russ. More importantly, though, you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. And with that said, listeners, Beau, Gavin, my cat, who is passed out.
Toodles.
Till next time.